Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip makes the case why a rookie running back and a fourth-round quarterback will carry America's team to the promised land. Eric Mangini and our man Rob Parker come by for a little who would you rather have, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? Shannon brings the harsh reality that Tony Romo is just a 37-year-old injury-prone quarterback making $24.7 million. The guys debate Odell and the Giants receivers doing Live on Sunday like it's church. Plus Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard drops by to shed light on the Jordan versus MJ debate. You excited today, Skip?
You know what? In all my years of doing this show on the old network and now on Fox Sports 1, I have never been more excited about a board that I saw when I left our pre-show meeting than I am right now. Mm-hmm. Because somebody's in trouble.
At about 9 a.m. West Coast time, you're going to be like, oh, my God, he got me again.
I don't know about that. But let's start with the Giants. The video surfaced yesterday of Odell Beckham Jr. and Victor Cruz partying at a Miami nightclub with Justin Bieber and other celebrities on Sunday night. The Giants beat the Redskins just a few hours earlier. The players reportedly stayed out till 6 a.m. Monday morning, and then Beckham, Cruz, and other Giants players were seen on a boat yesterday in Florida. Ben McAdoo said he didn't have a problem with it because yesterday was an off day for the players. The Giants play at Lambeau on Sunday. Skip, is this a big deal or not a big deal?
This is a huge deal. And this was a really, really bad idea by starting with Odell Beckham and all the diva receivers on the New York Football Giants. It's such a bad idea and a bad look. It now makes me rethink my position and prediction of yesterday that the Giants are going to go up to Lambeau Field and end Aaron Rodgers' historical, as you called it yesterday, run.
Yep.
I'm rethinking that position, and I want to back off and wait until Friday before I make my pick on this game.
No, I'm not going to be able to let you do that.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know this was going to happen. And look, you can accuse me of being a grumpy old man if you want to, but I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that kids today are different because football is not different today. How you get to and win a Super Bowl is not different today. It was the same in Shannon Sharpe's day. It was the same when I started covering the Miami Dolphins of the 70s. It's football, and it always will be the ultimate team game, the ultimate unity game, the ultimate laser focus in the locker room game where it's all for one and one for all. Everybody's sacrificing for everybody, especially at this time of year where for your brothers, you do what needs to get done to get your team ready to go to Lambeau Field to win a really difficult playoff game in intense weather conditions against the hottest quarterback in pro football. And obviously, the Giants' defense has carried the offense all year long, and this did not involve any of the defensive players. But if I were Janoris Jenkins, Landon Collins, or Olivier Vernon, or DRC, I'd be offended right now. I'd be stung that my brothers on the offensive side, who, by the way, have not been able to hold up their end of the bargain all year, decided to go without a bye week. This is not their bye week, even though Ben McAdoo switched their days off from Tuesday back to Monday. So they're going to pick up work starting today. I don't care. It's too short of a time frame for the diva receivers then to say, wait a second, we're going to go straight from our game in Washington, I assume via charter plane, that's the only way they could have gotten there, down to South Beach, to party all night and into the daylight on a boat out in the bay. I have no idea. I don't know all the details of it.
It's
just a bad, bad look. And if the brothers on defense, their brothers, are back home trying to get their rest as best they can, trying to keep their bodies conditioned for the cold weather, because it doesn't do you know this. I know this from all the marathons I've run. It doesn't do you any good to go into the warm weather when you're about to have to go into the coldest place in the National Football League up in Lambeau Field. It just doesn't do you any good because you get used to, boy, that sun feels so good. They're all lying out on the boats, soaking in the rays. It's not the way you get ready for Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And if I read this correctly, McAdoo and or the GM Jerry Reese allowed them to skip the charter flight from Washington, short flight back to wherever they landed. I don't know if they go to Teterboro or to Newark or wherever to land their charter. But all the charters that I've been on and teams I've been around, that was a done deal. Everybody had to ride the charter home unless you had a personal catastrophe or tragedy or whatever, right? Is that the way it always was?
I remember TD, we were 13-0. We lost to the Giants.
Yep.
TD was going to have to shoot a commercial that Tuesday in New York for Sesame Street.
And he had to fly the charter home, right? There you go.
Come on.
Okay, it's just the way you do business. It's unity. It's everybody, all for one and one for all.
Right.
So I'm assuming that Ben McAdoo said, you know what, you guys, just go on straight from the locker room in Washington. They're going to go straight to some private airport, I assume, in the D.C. area and fly to Miami. And it makes it look to me like Ben McAdoo is losing control of the football team. That's how it comes across. Like he's about as soft as some of those receivers can be soft. And of course, this brings up a painful memory for me because 9 years ago, back in early 2008, the Dallas Cowboys had a bye week. And Tony Romo, then dating Jessica Simpson, along with his best buddy, Jason Witten, and his wife, they all saddled up and they went to Cabo San Lucas. Way to go. And yet they had a bye week, so they had a few days off to go to Cabo. And Troy Aikman, I loved it that he stepped forward and said this. He said, look, did that affect Tony Romo's preparation for a game that was virtually 2 weeks away? No, it probably didn't. But is it a bad look? Is perception reality? Did it look like you weren't taking your home playoff game when all you had to do is win 2 to get to the Super Bowl? Not that seriously. That's how it came across to me. I was obviously at ESPN in those days. Listen, that story was nuclear at ESPN. It just exploded for 3 days. It's all we talked about. It's a bad look. And these kids today well know that if they're going to go clubbing on South Beach all night long until the sun comes up, and they're going to go to multiple clubs, and they're going to be hanging with 2 Chainz, Trey Songz, Johnny Manziel, and obviously Justin Bieber, if you're going to be around Biebs, you're going to get on social media. Am I right? Is there any way to avoid that not going public? It's going to explode publicly. They had to know it. They probably wanted it to explode publicly because they want to see and be seen. It's the wrong place. It's the wrong time. They could have waited 1 more week because now I think they might just get eliminated by Aaron Rodgers and they can go to South Beach for the whole offseason if they want to. I don't get it. And this is such a bad idea and such a bad look. And you know what? The more I talk, I'm starting to talk myself into Aaron Rodgers. Seriously.
Skip, for me, it's not a big deal, but if they lose this game, it'll be a huge deal. I think the thing is with the reason why Troy felt the way he felt is that Tony was a quarterback. And we know in situations like this, quarterbacks are viewed differently than any other position. Also, Skip, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, the players are changing. They are. It's becoming fewer and fewer players are strictly about their particular sport. Now it's about branding. Now it's about social media. I need to get 1 million. I need to get 1 million followers. I need to get 2 million likes. This is what it's becoming, Skip. And whether we like it or not, this is where we are right now. Skip, this was a planned trip because this was New Year's Eve. You don't like all of a sudden after the game say, hey, guys, you want to fly to Miami? That's not how this works.
Yep.
We're flying to Miami. And see, Ben McAdoo's problem that he's running into, he's so worried about being a player's coach. He's so worried about being liked. Okay, you want to fly to Miami on your day off, so be it. But you're going to do it from Jersey. You're not leaving straight from here. We came as a team. We're going to leave as a team. And once we get back to New York, whether we land in Newark or LaGuardia, wherever you land, if then you want to charter a plane and go down to Miami, by all means, it's your day off, do it. I don't like the appearance of it, although I don't have a problem with it because I wanted people to think and to know that I took my job serious. Skip, I was very fortunate. Played 14 years and went to the playoffs a number of times. 3 times we had the bye week. Twice I went home in Atlanta. The third time, we went to Vegas. Me and about 5 friends, we went to Vegas, but there's not one time that we were not thinking. And I told the guys, I said, if we want to be thought of long term, we have to follow this up because we had just beaten the Packers the year before. I say there are a lot of teams that's won one in a row. But if you want to be great, you want to be special, we got to win this one. Wild card weekend, I would have never even thought about it because going into that game, had we already had a playoff spot sewn up, obviously we don't know who we're going to play. But I would have liked to known that once that game was over, we know who we're going to play. I'm going to get a head start on tape. So I'm going over there early Monday morning, and as soon as they have the tape ready, I'm taking the tape, I'm going home, and I'm going to start watching on my next opponent. Who's going to cover Shannon? What do they like to do in third and long?
Okay.
What do they like to do in red zone? So it just doesn't look well. But here's the thing, Skip. Guess what? In 1 month, if you were to do everything if everything goes according to plan, guess where the clubs are going to be at? Still in Miami. That yacht that you rented, guess what? It'll still be available. Mm-hmm. You can't wait 1 month. That's the problem that I have. Look, I don't have a problem. It's their day off, but just the optics of it, it looks like you're not taking this serious. Like, oh, man, we got this in the bag. Packers, and we're finna go up there. So what? It's going to be like 10 below zero.
Really?
Who cares?
Yeah. Really?
We got this. And then Odell, he's in Miami. 80 degrees, January 1st, with Shirley Line Timms.
His feet are cold.
Man, Skip, listen, this is where we are now. Mm-hmm. Skip, this is the new norm. So the days of all guys were not worried about a brand, this brand thing is big. Guys start thinking about branding. Mm-hmm. If you look how they go to college. Everything, and guess what we do? We televise it. Guys bringing puppies, guys bringing horses. They got all kind of things. So now they're getting a head start on this branding thing. It's all about branding. And Odell is in the branding capital of the world. He's in New York City. He's big. He's the biggest thing in New York. He's bigger than Carmelo. He's bigger than Porzingis. He's bigger than Cespedes. The only guy that could rival him was Jeter. He's it. Mm-hmm. He is it. And he's a phenomenal talent. He calls a little ruckus. I mean, things doesn't go his way. He'll pout and scream. But there's no denying this young man's talent. Skip, I wouldn't have done it. Me personally, no.
Heck no.
I don't have a problem with it, Skip, because it's their day off. But the appearance, the optics of it, it looks like you're not taking this serious.
No, it does not. And by the way, just for the record, I lost track because I was, quote unquote, working through the weekend, but it wasn't New Year's Eve. Did I lose track? New Year's Eve
New Year's Eve was Saturday night, yeah.
So it was the day after. But it felt like another New Year's Eve because everybody took Monday off. So maybe it was the second New Year's Eve. So I'll give you that.
And that's the thing, though, Skip. Yeah. This you don't listen. You don't play a game and say, hey, guys, what are you doing tomorrow? We got the day off. What do you want to do? Let's fly to Miami. Let me call my boy and we get a jet. Skip, this was already planned. Because think about it. They played the 4:25 game. The game lasted 2 hours and 55 minutes. So just for the sake of argument, say they walked off the field at 7:30. By the time you shower, do your media obligations, it's what, 8:15, 8:30? Let's just say for the sake of argument again, they get a police escort. Mm-hmm. They still got to get out of D.C. because at that stadium, there's really one way in, one way out.
I know it well.
So now you get the police escort. You still got to go get to the a charter airport. Mm-hmm. So at best case scenario, what time you think they touch down in Miami? Midnight?
Is it 2.5 hours from there, maybe?
The flight said, we Googled it, says 2 hours and 15 minutes from that little charter.
All right.
So let's just say then, for the sake of debating, they touch down at what, midnight? By the time you get to the club, it's 12:30?
Well, the clubs don't really close.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying, I already know. That's how it used to be in Atlanta. You didn't get to the club till 12:30. Right. Because it stayed open all night. So you get there at 12:30. Mm-hmm. This is probably early morning Monday. They chilling. Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what Odell and I have tweeted back and forth at each other, and I think his heart's in the right place. Sometimes his mind is not in the right place, but I think he's a good kid.
Yeah.
With a lot of talent and could have a huge future, but He just needs to grow up and wise up and get it. He doesn't get it yet because all that's going to matter in the end is not his branding. It's going to be how many of those things that you have he has on his finger in the end.
Yes.
In the end, because he doesn't want to be that guy who never won anything. I know he's not a quarterback, but there's some stigma attached to, but he never was on a really good team, right? He never took a team. He never carried a team, whatever the issue might be. And I would suggest that if you didn't have 3 of those things, it would have made it harder for you to get right into the Hall of Fame because people would hold it against you. They just do.
Skip, I was one of the few guys, because if you think about it, I have more rings than anybody that was in the Hall of Fame at my position. Mm-hmm. I had to wait 3 times. Yep. I retired with every single record that a tight end could have. But, there's like, you played with John Elway, and then I went to Baltimore and won the championship where you had an all-time great defense. They find ways to keep you in or to keep you out. But when you look at it, the reason why we say for most positions, we say the guys that have rings are better, although they might not have been a better player. Rings matter. And Odell, if you want to be thought of as one of the all-time greats, the reason why people rank Michael Irvin so high is because he has 3 championships. And he was also the vocal and one of the more outspoken leaders.
Trust me, I covered those teams. He was the leader of those teams. The leader. Not off the field, but on the field.
Right. Was he the most talented player? Probably not. But he has 3 championships. Yep. He was the vocal leader.
He was.
So Odell, if you want to be thought, because think about it, Randy Moss, Jerry is Jerry. Jerry's in the class by himself, the yards, the catches and touchdowns, but he also has 3 championships. Randy Moss could have been great. I think he had the talent to surpass Jerry Rice, but did it mean that much to him? I think T.O. is the 3rd best receiver to ever play in the National Football League. But for whatever reason, there were things that he kept doing. He was no problem. He didn't get in any trouble. But for whatever reasons, it didn't translate into him. Now, it wasn't for lack of trying, because he really, Philly in the Super Bowl, Skip, there's no way I thought he was going to play. But Odell needs to understand a lot of times optics is more important than what you're actually doing. Yeah. Because who knows? He might have had his tablet down there and he might have been studying plays.
Want to bet?
Skip,
At the club?
Yeah.
Hey, so they got night.
That reminds me of what Johnny Manziel used to say when he was flying to Las Vegas. I took my tablet with me. I was studying on the plane.
Right.
Yeah, he took his tablet. Let me see who I called. Amber, Megan.
You're probably right about that.
Well, live on Sunday will get you. That's what it is. That's why they were there. Miami every time. No mercy. Well, the 2 of you are Cowboys doubters, but Eric, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
And it's time. You have to make your pick.
Coach.
Yep. The heat is on. We know what the playoff matchups are.
You can't play both
Very
sides
serious.
of the fence.
Yes. You have to make a commitment right now.
No equivocation. This is it.
How far do you think the Cowboys
will go?
Do I get to
explain anything while we're doing this? You just want the pick. How far will they go? Well, I think that at this point they're probably the best team in the NFC. However, I think they're going to have real problems representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think their best chance is it's not playing both sides of it. It's hard for me to think that they're going to be able to run through the NFC because it's so different than what we're dealing with in the AFC in terms of the quality of quarterbacks that they're going to face, and whether it's the Giants or whether it's Green Bay, and that's who it looks like they'll probably end up playing. I think Green Bay, with the streak that they're on right now, is going to be an issue for them, and the Giants obviously has been their kryptonite. So as much as I think they should represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, I don't think they're going to make it.
So you're saying they're going to lose their first home playoff game?
I think they have a good chance of losing their first home playoff game.
You're leaning toward Aaron Rodgers beating the Giants, I think.
I would say that one's tough just because Green Bay's had trouble with the Giants. But I'm saying either one of those teams is going to be an issue for Dallas in the first game that they play.
So Eric Mangini is on the record. Dallas Cowboys will lose. I know
that you want to do that.
No, I don't want to do it.
We'll get back to that.
It's what we do on this show,
I know.
right? It's what we do.
Well, it's sort of what we do because there's a little wavering here. You know, there's some wavering.
There's occasional wavering.
Not from me.
Okay.
All right.
I told him yesterday. You know what my stance is.
Where Eric is doing this, well, I don't know, and all over the place. I'm telling you that Aaron Rodgers will go into Dallas and beat the Cowboys, stop this whole nonsense. It'll be man against boys. And I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, who has all the credentials, who played in all the big games, and Dak Prescott will finally be on that stage and won't be able to handle it, and it will be Green Bay moving on, and people will say, Dallas had a nice season, nice rookies, they did everything, but they weren't ready for prime time when it all came down to it. Aaron Rodgers will beat the Giants, I'm not wavering, Eric, and then go into Dallas and beat the Cowboys and put himself where he should be on this type of season that Aaron Rodgers has been having all year.
And I can't remember, then you projected that he goes to Atlanta, right? And he does what? He loses to Matt Ryan? Is that
No, he already beat Matt Ryan and blew them out down in Atlanta.
So it's Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl. Right?
The way he's played this year, he's on another level. Let's just be honest. If you want to talk about what the Cowboys done, look at what he's done and where his team was dead. Dead.
Yeah, he was the starting quarterback that went 4-6 in the first 10. But go ahead.
What did he do the last 6?
Oh, that's all that matters. Let's forget about
it's about how you
finish.
finish.
It's a 6-game season.
It's about how you finish.
So Tom Brady is disqualified because he missed the first 4, but Aaron Rodgers missed the first 10, and he's okay.
He didn't miss the first 10. That's why he led the league in touchdowns with 40.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers having a historic season. He will complete the job. He'll go through everybody he needs to go through, including Eli Manning, who's won 2 Super Bowls, and then he'll beat Dak Prescott and the Cowboys and move on.
So who do you have going to the Super Bowl?
I like Green Bay. Here's the problem is now that Rob has agreed.
Yes, now you're.
I totally want to pull back from any because we can't be on the same page because it's pretty much guaranteed. Once you've promised that, it's not going to happen. So again, I might have to reevaluate just because of this fact.
Green Bay's going to the Super Bowl.
I really like Green Bay, and I think it's very important to be hot going into the playoffs. I think that's real. That momentum is real, and they have that momentum.
Okay, Mr. Sharpe.
Told you. You already know. One and done.
One and done.
One.
Is it Aaron Rodgers?
Not 3 and done. You know, he tried to come up with a phrase. They're going to be 3 and done, which there is no such thing as 3 and done.
There is. There's
no,
lots of
you
3
just
and
made
done.
that up yesterday. 1 and done. They're going to be like all the freshmen at the University of Kentucky basketball. 1 and done. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, the hottest quarterback next to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is my MVP. But Aaron Rodgers, 18 touchdowns, 0 interception in his last 7 games. Skip, he's been his historically great self. See, in the first 10 games, he was just great. 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's more than Dak threw in all 16 games. And he was terrible.
According to
Skip Bayless, he gets more passes than he throws. But anyway, I digress again. Skip, you know what's going to happen. You're holding our hope and all those fans. How about them Cowboys? The man that laughed last laughs
I've been
loudest.
telling you that all year.
And I'm going to get this. Hey, you know what? I'm miserable right now because neither one of my teams made it. The Broncos, Ravens are home. But you know what? Misery loves company. And I'm going to get no greater satisfaction than having Skip Bayless weep with me.
Okay.
Openly weep on national television.
So let me get this straight. The Shannon Sharpe, who before the season started picked Seattle and Pittsburgh to get to the Super Bowl, then completely jumped off both bandwagons and re-picked Atlanta and Kansas City to get the Super Bowl, is now telling me that Aaron Rodgers is going to win at Jerry World in the divisional round of the playoffs, right? Yeah. And I'm going to take that to my bank, and I'm going to remind each of the 3 of you, you're on tape now on the show, right? For going forward. You're going to have to live with those predictions.
Somehow I thought we were in your living room. Yeah. Are we on TV?
Yeah, we were actually.
I didn't realize
sometimes
that.
Sometimes you forget, right? So here's my question. These are the teams that in points allowed, okay? We have New England is now number 1 in points allowed in the NFL. Number 2 is the New York Football Giants. Boy, they've been playing some hellacious defense. Number 3 is Seattle. We know they still hang in there even without Earl Thomas. Denver, your Broncos, hanging in at number 4. And the one name that doesn't belong in this list is Dallas. How did Dallas get in the top 5 in scoring defense? And I don't know, it's just my eyes. They deceive me. I may need to get new LASIK surgery, but I'm seeing a guy named David Irving who looks unblockable off the edge now, and I'm seeing DeMarcus Lawrence, who's been a force all year, and he's coming back from a back injury. We'll have plenty of time to get right. And all of a sudden, this kid, Randy Gregory, is finally emerged. I don't know if he's going to be eligible going forward for this playoff game. He could get suspended again anytime soon. But if he's eligible, that could be a problem. And Mo Claiborne, who was playing some of the best cornerback in football for the first 5 or 6 games of the year, is going to be healthy for the playoff game to play cornerback. And Rod Marinelli, to me, is the coordinator of the year on defense. I'm sorry, that's what I'm seeing, but they don't get any respect, and that's fine with me.
What about Patricia?
So Belichick coaches the defense. I'm sorry. That's right.
You see what he did there? You see what he did there, Coach?
Yeah, I think it's pretty unfair to Matt to say that.
Well,
you know.
Okay, but is it not the truth? I'm sorry. That's just me. But Rod Marinelli is the coordinator of the year. And is there anybody calling plays any better than Scott Linehan on offense? Because I don't see anybody.
Shanahan.
Oh, please stop it.
He just asked me a question.
Okay. So who led the league in rushing? My kid did. That's okay.
Does Jason Garrett work for that team? Is he still,
you know what? I'm going to go with Coach
Jason
Mancini.
Garrett.
Jason Garrett should be Coach of the Year because clearly he's doing a great job.
That part I agree with. Okay, we'll put him.
I'm using that to build my case now. But my quarterback, he's just a 4th-round pick rookie from Mississippi State. He led the NFL in QBR the whole year until the last game when he had been too good for his own good.
Does he lead it now?
They had already clinched, so he just went out and went through the motions and tried not to get hurt at Philadelphia and had a QBR of like 51, and it cost him. He fell down 2 spots as Brady had a sensational game and Matt Ryan had a sensational game, so they leapfrogged him, but they wouldn't have if the last game had been one that the Cowboys had to win.
What about if Matt Ryan was already in front of him before the last game?
He was not.
Can you leapfrog somebody that's behind you?
He was not.
I don't think so.
And all of a sudden, this guy named Des Bryant is finally completely healthy and is actually developing some rapport and wavelength with the kid quarterback. And you know what? I think it's time to do this.
Man, put your arms down, Skip.
This. And I don't see a better offense than this. And I'm seeing a defense that's way better than anybody thinks. And I'm seeing a team that, wait a second, went up and beat Aaron Rodgers soundly at Lambeau.
We're talking about old news.
Old news? Was it this year? It was this year.
It was this year, but they were going through a funk at that time.
Oh, they weren't going through. They were going through no funk.
They were going through a funk. They lost 4 in a row.
Green Bay was 3-1 at that point when Dallas went to Lambeau Field. 3-1, and everybody thought they were riding high. He lost another case of Deuce sitting over there said, oh, this is a mismatch. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw them off the field.
Are we even now?
No, we're not even. I'm still up 1, but that's okay. Then Dak Prescott goes to Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, and you say, you got no chance. And I was pretty shaky on that game because I thought the Steelers in Pittsburgh, 42 seconds left, what happened? Dak Prescott leads them back down the field to the touchdown that wins the game. And then even you love Kirk Cousins, and at Washington, I don't know how he did it, but Dak Prescott outgunned Kirk Cousins at Washington, and then on Thanksgiving Day made more plays than Kirk Cousins did on the biggest stage in the sport.
When does Washington play in the playoffs?
Well, I'm just saying
they didn't make the play. Oh, they didn't make the play.
The thing that concerns me, though, Skip, is how well is he going to deal with the amount of time off that he has off. I think that's a big question mark, and we know that they've had difficulty dealing with the Giants. Is that fair? I didn't hear you list.
Well, you told me it's Aaron Rodgers, so I didn't have to deal with
But what
the
I'm
Giants.
saying, but maybe do, and that is a team they've had a problem with, right? So if by chance,
I want the Giants.
Okay, well that's fantastic.
So
they may not, but I know you do.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times, a division.
No, it's not. Not if you're better.
Yes, it is. Trust me. Yeah, they're so much better. They won by 1 and by 3.
Did they win? Since when did you have to win by a certain
3? And the second game was with a slick football that Eli couldn't throw, and he made 1 throw to Odell Beckham. And after the game, Eli said, I couldn't hang on to the football. He had an empty hand throw that went behind him.
But it was the same football that everybody was playing with,
right?
I mean, it was
throw it.
It wasn't a magic football that only one team was dealing with.
Neither team could throw the football, but he made 1 throw to Odell, and my safety, Barry Church, took a horrendous angle and let him loose. That's all it was. It was a 1-play game, and Odell made 1 play.
And the quarterback with the best QBR couldn't make 1 play?
Yeah, and you know what? Guess what? He did make 1 play at the end of the game to number 88, who then started to run with the football, and he got stripped.
You just said he was back. You said he was back. What happened?
That was 4 games ago.
But
4 games ago.
But since Aaron Rodgers wanted the 6-game winning streak, that was old news. But
that's old news, right?
That's not relevant.
The truth is, you guys are all scared to death. I've been right all year, and I'm going to be right again. I've never felt better about a team potentially getting to the Super Bowl than this team winning 2 games at Jerry World that Dak Prescott finally, thankfully, turned into a home field advantage.
What about the history of the NFL where no rookies led a team to the Super Bowl? You really believe that He has to go through
It's
veteran
about to get
quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls, and he's going to beat them and move forward.
Guys, Skip feels good because he had carrot juice and spinach, and he took his probiotics. That's why he's feeling so good. But come a week from Sunday, when I come back on this show Monday,
I don't drink carrot juice and I don't eat much spinach. So.
All I know is if Dallas loses, somehow it's going to be Jason Garrett's fault.
Yes.
He hasn't said Jason Garrett till today. But if somehow they lose, even though he's had no part of the success,
Coach of the year.
it's going to end up. It's going to end up being
to the bank.
Jason Garrett's fault
you
or.
Coach Belichick was the coach of the year.
No, I'm just saying. I'm going to agree with.
Oh, you said him now.
My argument.
So
You know, it
all
helps
three of
my
you are
argument.
picking against the Cowboys. Well, Eric's
they've
sort
got
of
Aaron
picking
Rodgers.
against the
No, no,
Cowboys.
Do I think they should represent it based off where they are? Yes. Do I think they're going to?
Can you make a pick? What
Do
are
I
you
think-
saying?
I mean,
You know,
yeah,
my-
so we have set it up more serious. You have to make a decision.
My New Year's resolution
right now.
is to be
say
more
the team.
tolerant of
Say the team.
whatever this is.
What, Rob?
No, I don't think they're going to. That's my pick. I do not think they're going to.
Yeah, and you got Aaron Rodgers
Yes.
in the Super Bowl, right?
Is that close enough for you,
Yes.
Skip?
Thank you. Now we
Accept
got it
that?
on record and on tape.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow. All right.
No mercy.
LeBron James celebrated his 32nd birthday last week, and he broke the NBA record for most points scored before turning 32 years old. Chris Broussard joins us now. Welcome, Chris.
Great to be here. Happy New Year to my brothers and
yes,
my sister.
Yes, yes. You know what?
You get January
It's my first
1st.
day back.
I don't care. You should have sent me a text.
Oh, I knew that was going to make
I
him
didn't
so
even get
upset.
a fist pump.
I
No.
love that you
gonna
said
like
that.
my argument.
Here, I'll throw it over to you.
I'm
so
going
there
to
you
wish
go.
you happy new try on LeBron.
Well, a few weeks ago when you were here, you had a conversation with Skip and Shannon off camera, debating whether LeBron could pass Jordan as the greatest of all time if he wins 3 straight titles. So what do you think?
Well, I am the voice of reason on this topic. Because, Skip, you never going to give LeBron his due. And, Shannon, you already think he's the GOAT. So let me bring truth to this situation. And I don't have a dog in this fight because, obviously, I like LeBron. But MJ, I had MJ posters in my dorm room in college. So he's my favorite player of all time. So this is how I look at it.
You have 2 dogs in this fight.
Well, but I got to pick
Okay,
one, right?
All right.
If they win a three-peat this year, next year, and I picked Golden State in the preseason, so I don't think it's going to happen. But if they do it, and LeBron's the best player, which he was last year, obviously, led both teams in all 5 statistical categories, then I would say he's the GOAT. It's hard to say that because it's MJ, the legend. But I would give it to LeBron, and I think he'd have 3 strong arguments. Number 1, longevity. All right, LeBron has already played more games than Jordan played with the Bulls. If you want to count the last 2 seasons with Washington when he wasn't in his prime, but still was great for a 40-year-old, count them. But with the Bulls, Jordan in his prime, LeBron's already played more games. Okay? LeBron's in his 14th year. If you take away MJ's second year with the Bulls when he only played 18 games because of injury, and his comeback year in 94, 95 when he only played 17, he only had 11, full seasons with the Bulls. LeBron's on his 14th, probably got 4 more years as a top 5 player.
Yes.
So that'll be 18 years. He's already the only player in the top 10 in scoring and top 20 in assists. He's projected to be top 5 scoring, top 10 assists. Unprecedented. So the longevity argument he will have. Secondly, he will have beaten better teams than Michael Jordan in the finals. The Golden State Warriors team he beat last year, we know, best regular season team ever by record. Okay, a big 3. Now they have a big 4. All right? Jordan never beat a big 3. And when there were big 3s in the 80s, the Celtics, the Lakers, Detroit didn't even have a big 3 when they were great. Jordan didn't beat them. Didn't beat them. They got old, then he beat them. He beat teams in his era. It was just his era. They had 1 star, maybe 2. Look at who he beat in the finals. Worthy and Magic, Drexler in Portland, Barkley in Phoenix, Peyton and Kemp in Seattle. But only Peyton's a Hall of Famer. And then Stockton and Malone. Jordan had 2 Hall of Fame teammates, Pippen and Rodman, in his final 3-peat. None of those, he never beat a team with 3 Hall of Famers. All right? Then the third argument. And they both make their teammates better. Jordan by putting them on his back, LeBron by elevating their game. But the evidence shows, and I don't bring feelings to a fact fight like some people. The evidence shows LeBron has elevated teammates better. When Jordan first retired, Shannon, they went from 57 wins with Jordan to 55. 55. They were great without him.
And was a Hugh Hollins
terrible
away
call.
from going to the NBA Finals.
Terrible
I don't even want to
call.
talk. I don't want to talk, Skip. I ain't
Now,
got
what?
nothing to
My
say.
last thing, let me say this. When LeBron left Cleveland, you know they went from 61 wins to 19. When he left Miami, they went from 54 wins to 37. Didn't even make the playoffs.
They went to the lottery.
I'm just saying. But that's a big if. But if he wins these two, man, you got to give him his props. Even Skip Bayless, I think, would have to give him his props.
Go ahead, Skip. Go ahead, Skip. Go ahead.
No, you're up.
Go ahead, Skip.
I want you just to
I've been
pile
saying-
on,
I've been
jump
saying
on.
all along.
So wait a second. This pushes you. His argument just pushed you completely over the top. You just uttered just a few minutes ago. Wait a second. Now Michael's still the GOAT,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
you said.
Yes. Yes.
But
I said-
now I think you leaped to a
No.
conclusion that LeBron, after you heard that, it's like preach, preach, preach. He's the greatest ever. It's already over, right?
The conversation started a couple of weeks ago. Chris and I was having a conversation, and we asked you, and you just threw your hand up. You just dismissed.
I walked away.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
The argument is when it's all said and done, when LeBron is done, he's not dribbling the basketball anymore. He's not playing in Quicken Loans or anywhere else. When his body of work is done, when it stacks up beside Michael Jordan, will he be considered the best? And I said he could if he were to do what Chris Broussard so eloquently laid out. What I've been saying.
Rationally, actually.
I told you.
You right.
Michael
Give me
Jordan.
that.
I mean, I have to listen to this every day.
Michael Jordan was the GOAT. But when Parrish, Bird, and McHale of the Celtics were in their prime, he couldn't see them with the Hubble telescope. When the bad boy Pistons, with two Hall of Famers, Dumars and Isaiah, 3 straight years, couldn't see them. In the 80s, when they had Magic and Kareem, he couldn't see the Lakers. But all of a sudden, they got old. Oh, he just started running through them. Oh, he's the GOAT. Well, Parrish was 70. Larry Bird was 43 walking with a cane. You know it, Skip. The man.
I don't know it.
You
Keep
said,
going.
You said when he's done. When he's done, he's going to be probably number 2 on the all-time scoring list. I believe there's a chance he's going to be in the top 10 in assists. So you're talking about a guy that's top 2, top 3 scorer, top 10 assist man with 5 MVPs. Because I believe now James Harden.
Right now, it's hard.
It's hard right
now.
now.
Yeah.
And I got Bron in second. Yeah. But I believe, hey, stop it.
Oh, Lord.
Just listen to this argument, Skip.
You're making me laugh.
When it's all said and done, 5 MVPs in the regular season, 5 MVP final seasons, with probably 10 NBA finals on his resume. That's enough for me. Now, some people, Skip, he looks at the Mona Lisa and said there's no painting can ever be more beautiful than that. But me, I'm a more starry night myself. So LeBron is going to pass.
He's got to get those rings.
Yes.
Because the longevity, if you play 18 years in your prime,
You're going to accumulate
but only
that.
have 3 rings,
Right.
That's works against him.
That's what I
If he
tell.
gets to 5.
One more thing, Skip. I tell guys, even in today's time in football, I say, guys, if you play a long time, you're going to accumulate stats. If I'm a hoarder and I hoard for 40 years, I'm going to have a bunch of stuff compared to somebody that's been hoarding for 10 years.
Yeah, LeBron is a hoarder. He can hoard those stats. He can stuff that sheet. I agree with you. Tell me when you guys are finished.
We done, Skip. We done.
I do have one salvo after you. You want me to throw it out now?
Salvo me.
You sure?
Go ahead.
You sure?
No, go ahead.
Because I know your comeback. LeBron's not clutch. Jordan wanted it at the end. Jordan hit every game-winning shot that he ever took.
Not true.
All right,
Not true.
clutch stats. You said it last week. They both in the playoffs, LeBron and Jordan, have 3 buzzer beaters. They both. Jordan doesn't have any more than LeBron.
3.
And check this out, Skip. Go-ahead field goals in the final 5 seconds of the 4th quarter or overtime, in the playoffs only.
Yeah.
For their career, LeBron, 6 for 13, 46%. Jordan, 5 for 12, 41%.
Yeah.
So we can't argue that LeBron's not as clutch. You can't because the stats show. And then can I get a tape? I'm doing what y'all do. Let me see the tape. Because he killed LeBron when Kyrie took the shot last year. Is it up yet?
Yeah, there it
is. This is Game 6 of the NBA Finals. We know John Paxson hitting the game-winning shot. Notice the play. Jordan inbounds it in the backcourt to, I think, B.J. Armstrong. Gets it back in the backcourt. Takes 3 dribbles. Guarded single coverage. Passes to Pippen at half court. Pippen penetrates to the lane. Kicks it to Horace Grant on the baseline. Grant kicks it to Paxson. 3-pointer, game, series over. Jordan was not even involved in the play. Now, does that diminish Michael Jordan? Not one iota. Not at all. But if that were LeBron...
Oh, he was standing in the corner.
You would kill... Exactly. This notion that the best player has to take the last shot is hogwash. It's poppycock. It's crazy.
Bull jive.
Run a play. Magic told me himself, Magic Johnson, when he hit the junior sky hook, right? 87, I think.
I was sitting in press row.
Okay.
Yep.
He told me himself he was the third option on that. Now, does that mean it wasn't Magic's team? Does that mean Kareem wasn't any good? That Worthy was the first option? And then Kareem was the second option? And Magic hit the shot? It doesn't matter who hits the shot.
Let the church say amen.
Now, Kyrie's a great closer. I give it to him, too. That doesn't diminish LeBron.
That's enough.
What do you have
my
to
turn.
say?
It is over. It is over.
It's been over, Skip.
It's
been
been
over.
my turn for a while, starting right now.
Take your time.
LeBron James has made 3 or 4 layups in the last 5 seconds to win those games. Are we talking about jump shots to win games? He made 1 against Orlando, and then check what happened
about
in
the
the next
Chicago
games.
What about Chicago last year?
That was a playoff game. That was one where
So that's 2.
that was where his coach called another number because his coach David Blatt knew he was not the guy.
Did they not just call John Paxson's number 93?
Okay, I'm going to get to that.
Does that look like that was
We're gonna
called
get
for
to the
Jordan?
Steve Kerr play also, but here's the point. This is already over, and both of you need to get completely over this because just as the Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers discussion and quote-unquote debate was offensive to Tom Brady, this is offensive to Michael Jordan, and it should be, which is why his daughter tweeted the other day with a big N-O that there's no debate here. N-O, get over it, it's over. You guys can't undo what your man LeBron James already did and didn't do in postseason play because his resume is too permanently stained already with personal playoff disasters that he'll never catch a man who went 6 for 6 in his NBA Finals with 6 Finals MVPs. And let me ask you this. I'm just going to run through a few of them. I'm just going to hit the lowlights here for LeBron James. Did Michael Jordan ever look so discouraged, so out of it in games 4, 5, and 6 against the Boston Celtics in 2010 that his confidants had to plant the story that he needed to be sedated because he was having an issue in the locker room? Did that ever happen to Michael Jordan? It got reported on. Okay, it got reported by
his
somebody.
Confidants?
Yes. I know for a fact. I think I'm more plugged in on this story than you were on that story. That's what happened, and that got reported. Did it not get reported that he was sedated?
It got reported, but that is confidence.
Okay, well, I know where it came from, and I'm
don't know
sorry.
about
That's
that.
what happened because I know exactly who the source was for that story.
I've heard that story,
Okay,
but I don't.
That happened to LeBron James, who went up 2-1 with a monster game at Boston Garden on a Friday night that I closely watched, and then 4, 5, and 6, he just, I don't know what happened. Disengaged, disappeared. I don't know what happened. Then I have this question. Did Michael Jordan ever freeze up in games 4, 5, and 6 of an NBA Finals the way LeBron did against the Dallas Mavericks in his first year with the Big Three in Miami? I've never seen anything like it. The chosen one turned into the frozen one, and everybody in sports said, that had to be the mentally weakest display by a superstar we have ever seen. I'm sorry. How can you get past that? Because Michael Jordan had to fight through the bad boy Pistons to the point that Sam Smith wrote a book about how they had to create the Jordan rules to stop only Michael Jordan. That's all the Bulls had at that point, and it took a whole book of rules to stop that man so that the bad boy Pistons could get through the Bulls, who were just Michael Jordan. Did that ever happen? No, it never happened. So then did Michael Jordan need Ray Allen to save his legacy? Because he was about to fall to 1-3 in the NBA Finals because we're talking about what I think is the unclutchest superstar ever in postseason play. LeBron James fell apart down the stretch of Game 6 as they were about to be shot out of the playoffs by my San Antonio Spurs in Miami. He had 3 shockingly unsightly turnovers, unforced errors in the last 3 minutes of Game 6. Then he missed the tying 3, and he clanged it so badly. It was a long rebound. Out to Chris Bosh, who kicked it into the corner, to Ray Allen, who hit the greatest clutch shot I have ever seen and saved LeBron from being the literal GOAT of Game 6, as in you were the reason that they lost, and saved his legacy from falling to 1-3, and we'd be having a whole different conversation without the Ray Allen shot. And then have you ever seen coaches dare somebody to shoot 3-point shots in NBA Finals? Because that's the Popovich way, and we talked about it earlier in the show. LeBron is a below average, and I'm being nice about this, 3-point shooter. In fact, of those qualified X shots in the postseason, he's the worst ever postseason 3-point shooter. And he's also, by his standards, a pathetic free throw shooter. And he's constantly, to me, taking 3-point shots to avoid going to the free throw line, where he has to stand alone and make high pressure shots that he can't make. He's just not he's a 74% free throw shooter, which is way beneath his dignity. He should at least be Michael Jordan's 84%, and knowing LeBron, he should be a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson 88 or 90%. Well, he just should be.
He doesn't shoot as well. I mean, he's not the greatest shooter.
Okay, all right. And then we get to my Spurs blew LeBron James' Heat, it was his team, off the floor in a finals by a record margin. Did that ever happen to Michael Jordan? I don't think it ever happened. And then did Michael Jordan need Draymond Green to call him the B word? Has any superstar ever been called that word in a game? That's where you're disqualified from the Jordan discussion. He got called the B word so audibly by Draymond that Draymond got suspended for a Game 5 back in Oakland, and you even admitted the other day, it completely flipped the series, right? It reopened the door for the Cavs to climb out of a 3-1 hole. Then Bogut, their only rim protector at that point, their one who started anyway, I know they had Festus, but he got hurt and could not play in Game 6 and 7. Super highway to the basket opened, and God bless LeBron, he had 3 terrific games, won the MVP, and they climbed out of the hole. And here we are now. But now the closer for the Cleveland Cavaliers has become Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry, Michael Jordan would have never allowed a play to be called, as we saw on Christmas Day, where Kyrie just brought the ball in bounds and said, yeah, I'm going to go one-on-one against Klay Thompson. That just never happened. I'm sorry, it never happened.
What happened in the film we just saw?
Okay, he called that play in the huddle.
He didn't.
He did too. You
that
can go look
Steve
it up.
Kerr. That was Steve Kerr.
Both. I got both of them. He called both of them. He said Paxson.
He didn't call his number. Why? But if LeBron called a play for another player, you would be crushing him.
Okay, but he doesn't call a play for another player. That was just Kyrie. That's
How do you
Tyronn
know?
Lue
How do you
saying.
know?
How do you know?
Okay, I know what happened the other day.
LeBron does have a lot of respect, huge respect for Kyrie's closing ability.
All right.
Kyrie is a phenomenal closer. He's like
Michael
Kobe.
Jordan need Scottie Pippen to close for him? No. No.
Scottie
Stop
Pippen
it.
is
It's over.
Scottie Pippen is 1/10 the offensive player of Kyrie Irving. But before we go, Skip keep mentioning Game 6, the game that Ray Allen saved them. LeBron had a triple-double. They were down 10 points entering the fourth. LeBron hit 4 threes. He scored or assisted on 22 of the 30 points they scored.
He's missed the third quarter.
That was in the fourth quarter.
That was in the fourth
Shannon,
quarter.
He just said fourth quarter.
He
In that
unraveled
game?
down the stretch. Yes.
Well, Skip, sometimes a
unraveled.
great player makes a mistake.
3.
A bad
3.
play.
All right.
He's saying here.
We have to leave it there, but I think the bottom line is we all know that LeBron is not catching.
We don't know nothing.
That's all there is to it.
Oh, what are you talking
about? That's it. I said it. It's over.
No mercy.
With the regular season over, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have climbed to the top of the MVP race. In the last 6 weeks, Rodgers went 6-0 with 15 touchdowns and no interceptions. Brady finished his season with 28 touchdowns and 2 picks. Eric Mangini and Rob Parker are still with us, but Skip, I'm going to start with you. Who's the better quarterback?
We should finish with me on
Probably
this question. You know why? This question is offensive to Tom Brady. That's what it is. Aaron Rodgers shouldn't even be in the same sentence with Tom Brady. It's not even close because Tom Brady is coming off what I believe was his most consistent and his greatest season ever, albeit in just 12 games.
Why was it only 12 games?
I'm going to finish before we start with your bull jive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bull jive.
And by the way,
the bull jive.
Tom Brady pulled this one off at age 39, which is just unheard of. 28 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions, which is the greatest touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history, 28-2. He had no fumbles lost in 12 games. So in 16 games, Aaron Rodgers threw only 7 interceptions, but he also lost 4 fumbles. So let's get this straight. Tom Brady had 2 total turnovers in 12 games, while Aaron Rodgers had 11 in 16. Let's see, 2 and 12. I think I'll take the 2 and 12. That's just me, but who knows?
But he missed 4 games.
But Tom Brady lost what a lot of people think was the most dominant receiver in pro football. This guy named Gronkowski. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Almost unguardable by 2 people. And he lost him 5 games ago. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers has had his favorite and best receiver for the whole year, which is why Jordy Nelson led the National Football League in touchdown catches with 14. So now we could talk right now. We're talking about who's better right now. And right now is the playoffs. Or we're going into the playoffs. Am I right about that? And I had to sit here yesterday and hear my partner across the desk talk about what an historical season Aaron Rodgers is having. And I'm mind-blown on that one. Historical, exactly how? And we're looking at his career historically, or what are we looking at? Because since that one playoff run to his only Super Bowl victory, Aaron Rodgers is 3-5 in the postseason, including 2 home playoff losses. He lost twice at Lambeau Field as the starting quarterback in a playoff. Really? Aaron Rodgers is 3-5?
Lost 2 losses in
Yeah,
the playoff?
okay.
Has he lost
Tom
2 more
Brady
games?
is the winningest quarterback in playoff history at 22-9. 22-9.
He lost 9 games
Wow,
in the
yeah.
playoffs? Wow,
Okay,
that's a
so
lot of games.
obviously Tom Brady has won 4 Super Bowls and should have won the 2 that
No,
he
no,
lost
he
because
should
he
not
put them
have.
in position.
No, he should
in
not
both
have.
games, they were in position to win both. Eli Manning closed his eyes and made the luckiest throw in the history of the Super Bowl. Anybody would agree with that. And Tom Brady slightly missed a throw that, as you said the other day, Welker should have still caught the
You
football.
think Aaron Rodgers would have missed a wide open receiver with the
He must
Super
have missed
Bowl
a
on the
lot
line?
if he's 3-5
It would have
in
never
the last.
happened. It would have never happened.
Yeah, it would have never happened. 3-5 since his Super Bowl run. So I look at Tom Brady has started 10 AFC championship games. 10. That's unbelievable. So Aaron Rodgers has played in 2 championship games, 10-2. So going forward in these playoffs, I think I'd rather have, I don't know, just me. I think I'd rather have Tom Brady, who played just 2 years ago, who played the greatest fourth quarter in Super Bowl history. It ain't even close on this one. It was Tom Brady against one of the all-time great defenses in Super Bowl history, the Legion of Boom, which was at its peak. I know a couple of them were beat up, but they were still at their peak. They were hard to score against. And you know what he did in this fourth quarter? Tom Brady went 13 of 15 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. You want to talk historical? That's historical to me. You want to talk career? You want to talk about right now going forward in the playoffs? I think I'll take Tom Brady, and any argument you would make contrary to that will be laughable to me. So now the floor is yours.
I love the stuff that you leave out. You leave out when it comes to Tom Brady. First of all, if he's the greatest of all time, what is Eli since he beat Tom Brady twice? Eli's 2-0 against Tom Brady, including that 18-0 team that everybody thought was the greatest.
Tom Brady did exactly what he always does. He threw it to Randy Moss for the touchdown that made it 14-10, and
But
it should have been game over.
They didn't
win.
win.
Was it Tom Brady's fault?
They didn't
lost.
win.
It was not his
Also,
fault.
no one ever. You didn't mention that one at all about Spygate, which helped him. You didn't mention Deflategate. He was suspended. That's why he only played 12 games.
Oh, please.
Why?
That
None
was
of that
the
matters
biggest
to you.
frame and railroad
also,
job
he played
in
his
the
whole
history of
career
football.
against the AFC least. He's feasted on these bad teams, Jets, Buffalo, all these bad teams that he's been able to beat up and stockpile numbers
the
and
Jets have
wins.
been just
And then when you talk about Aaron Rodgers,
Well,
you failed to mention that Aaron Rodgers has a 104.1 passer rating, which is the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. The history of the NFL. He also had a 122.5
what
passer rating for season in the season in 2011, and also he has the best touchdown to interception ratio in the history of the NFL. So you act as if none of that stuff matters. He's been, you know what his record is in the Super Bowl? He's 1-0. And when you talk about those 5 losses Green Bay's had, I believe all 5 of them have come at the last play of the game. Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the field in any of those games. They all came up with the defense or some misplay.
How did it come down to the last play when you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback?
But that's not his fault. So when you look at the whole picture of what Tom Brady's a great quarterback. Is he the greatest quarterback ever? He's not. I still believe Joe Montana is, but if you ask me, who are you taking, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? And without crib notes now, it's different if you got crib notes. Without the crib notes, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. He does everything well.
So
he moves well with the football.
Disregard the facts.
No, I'm giving you the facts.
Go
I
with
just
your
told
heart.
you.
You'll take Aaron Rodgers with your heart.
I just told you. The best quarterback rating of any quarterback in the history of the National Football League.
Yeah.
He currently has that?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he does.
I feel like there's Wikipedia and then there's Robopedia.
No, Robopedia.
Where any
Robopedia.
facts are just sort of molded into this.
I'm gonna trademark that Robopedia.
You should, because it's borderline virtual reality. I don't know where it goes with that stuff. The other idea of this quarterback beating that quarterback, it's not tennis. The quarterbacks aren't playing against each other. The teams are playing against each other.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
It doesn't make it right. That's just because you do it that way, it doesn't mean it's the right way to do it.
Who won the Super Bowl those 2 years?
But,
Eli
but the
Manning
whole
won
idea of like Eli versus Tom Brady, it's not like sumo wrestling or golf. There's a whole team playing. That's the beauty of football.
Tom Brady missed the throw in that Super Bowl that cost his team the game. Would you agree?
Okay, but it wasn't an NFL challenge at the Pro Bowl where they're trying to hit ducks on a barrel or something. There's a whole team playing, so you can't look at it as Brady versus Eli. So Eli's better because he won those 2 Super Bowls. It's Robopedia or virtual reality. The thing that I'd say with these two guys, look, I think Aaron Rodgers is really hard to defend. I think what he's done this season has been incredibly impressive because they haven't had the running game, and he's had to work through that, and he's had to overcome that, and that to me is significant. Now, the thing with Tom that's different is it doesn't matter who his receivers are. Okay, he finds a way to make whatever receiving group he has better than what they should be, and that, in my mind, is the mark of a great quarterback, and he's done it since the early days when I was there till right now. And at the end of the day, Tom is the guy I would take over anybody at any point just because of my experience with him and how clutch he is and how much he means to that team.
Did you see those playoff games against Baltimore and Foxborough? Those 3 years in a row where they should have lost all 3. Tom Brady wasn't that great. There were a couple of years. People act like he's done nothing but win, win, win. He's lost
his last
games.
His last 3 playoff road games, he's lost.
He's lost. He doesn't go on the road and win big games.
But you know what I want to do? I want to take Skip because he said Tom Brady played the greatest fourth quarter in history. But he won't mention Richard Sherman played that game, entered that game with a torn elbow ligament. He won't mention that Cam Chancellor had a torn knee ligament in his knee. He won't mention Earl Thomas had a torn labrum. He entered that game with those injuries. Lane not only broke his leg, but tore his ACL in that game. He won't mention that.
How did they dominate the NFC Championship game?
They got those injuries in the NFC Championship game.
I'm not sure about that.
Skip, stop now. You know he did. Now, you know they did. For me, Tom Brady is the most accomplished quarterback. But if you give me a choice, say you got to take one right now, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. Because what he can do in and out of the pocket, the way he can throw the football. I've seen all these guys play, and I played with Elway for 9 years. I saw Marino in his prime. I saw a lot of great quarterbacks that's in the Hall of Fame. I've never seen anybody spin the ball better than this young man can with the legs that he has.
Not that young anymore, but go ahead.
He's 32.
He's in his prime.
So he's going to play another 7 years. Skip, he has a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Brady is number 2, and it's not 3-to-1. The guy has 2 seasons in which he's thrown double-digit interceptions. Brady has 9. Peyton Manning has all the records. He's only had 1 season in which he didn't throw double-digit interceptions. There's nothing this man can't do, Skip. He can roll to his left. He can roll to his right. He can throw from the pocket. He can change arm angles. You saw him throw it 60 yards on a rope at sub-zero temperature in Chicago, but he got 3 first downs on Sunday night with his legs. Skip, he's the most gifted thrower of the football that the NFL has ever encountered. And if you give me now, his resume probably won't ever equal. He's probably not going to win 3 more Super Bowls. But if you give me a choice, taking them right now, because you know what? You can be the best player and not be the most accomplished player. Tom Brady is the most accomplished, but you give me a choice to take one or the other right now, I'll take 12 in Green Bay.
Come on, Shannon, right here. Come on.
I don't
Ready?
think
Here we go. Do it. Yaga. Skip, come on, give it to me.
You don't participate in that, Eric.
No, I can't. I can't do that.
Put it down, Skip.
Give us a discount double check.
I just need a. Is there anything in here?
No, there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there.
Water.
It's a kamikaze.
One of Rob's midnight kamikazes.
Well, at least you all agree that Aaron Rodgers is going to beat Dak Prescott in the Cowboys. So.
Yep.
I mean, they do have to beat the Giants. I know nobody wants to bring that up, but that is the first step.
You can't hedge now, Coach. No hedge.
Of course you can hedge.
He's the best at
One
that.
thing I've learned is you can hedge all the time on TV. It's a
not
world
around
of
here.
hedging.
We hold your feet to the fire. No mercy. Tony Romo saw his first action of the season on Sunday. Romo came in for Dak Prescott in the second quarter and had 3 completions and threw a touchdown pass to Terrence Williams. We're joined once again by Eric Mangini. Skip, let me start with you. Did Romo improve his market value with his performance on Sunday?
I realize Coach Mangini said last week on the show it would make more salary cap sense for Dallas just to keep Tony Romo through next year, right?
Right.
But I do think his trade value rose maybe dramatically with his performance, albeit brief, on Sunday in Philadelphia because so many teams are so desperate for quarterbacks, as we spoke about earlier. And in his mere 6 plays, I thought Tony looked spectacular. I know it was just against the Eagles, blah, 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 but that's a tempting little sizzle reel that he has to show that he's healthy, still locked in, still, gung-ho to prove to everybody that he can still be that guy. He was that guy in 2014. He had a spectacular year when he mostly stayed healthy. So I believe that even off that brief little outing, that if Jerry chose to play the market or even to cut Tony Romo in the offseason, I think it would be sizable for Tony Romo.
Yeah, I don't know if it helped his true market value. It was good to see. I was happy to see it. But you got to look at whether or not you feel he can be healthy over 16 games if you're going to trade for him or if you're going to make a move for him. And really, Denver didn't have to pay anything for Peyton Manning, so there's not a precedent in this type of situation. Where I think it's really helped his value is in Dallas. I think, if anything, it confirms to Jerry what he's been saying as to how good Romo's looked and how important it is to have him on the team. The other thing that I wonder is if Dak has a game like he did in Philly in the playoffs, where he's struggling through 3 quarters, and you get to the fourth.
You mean against Philly and
Philly
Jerry
won.
World.
Yeah.
So
So if he's struggling through 3 quarters, how tempted are they going to be to
great.
put in the
now
closer?
We're doing this again. See, I told you. I told you.
Look, but that's, to me, that's never gone away. I know in your mind it's gone away, but the fact that he's there and he has the ability that he has to be explosive, if you get into a playoff game and you feel like you need something to change the momentum, I could see that, especially with that sizzle reel that he just put on.
Yeah. Lead him not into temptation.
You might change gears at some point.
Wow.
I don't believe it changed anything because teams know what Tony Romo is. He's a soon-to-be 37-year-old injury-prone quarterback. What will increase his appeal is him willing to renegotiate that contract.
Well, sure.
That $24.7 million.
But he would have to. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
And Skip, if your front office changed their mind on 6 plays on Sunday, that's the issue. Your front office. That's why you're looking for a quarterback. Because if you don't know who and what Tony Romo is after what he's been in the league, you know what he is, Skip. Yeah, he can be explosive, but he's about to be 37, and he's had 3 surgeries on his collarbone. He's had 2 back surgeries in the last 5 years on his back. So we know what he is. That did nothing for me.
But Peyton had 3 neck surgeries before Denver said, "Okay, we'll take a chance."
Once
right?
he had 3 surgeries, but that was all one surgery. He had one in the offseason, and so he missed 1 year.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Tony is Peyton Manning, but still, he's been pretty good.
The other reason I think he's going to be there, look what's happened to Oakland. Okay, they lose Derek Carr. You look at the Miami situation where they've lost a quarterback right before the playoffs, or you look at Minnesota's situation where they lose the quarterback at the start of the season. To have a guy like Tony Romo on your team, if you feel that your team has a chance to compete for the Super Bowl over the next 4 or 5 year period, that has huge value. And if anything, it's being reinforced by what we're seeing right now with other teams.
Then I feel sorry for Dak Prescott going forward.
Eric, we thought we had laid it to rest, and then you just come up here and drum it all up again, and the Romo fears.
Yep, here we go.
Good.
The fear should be real.
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We're back tomorrow when we're joined by Hall of Famer Chris Carter and actor Michael Rappaport. We'll see you on Wednesday. Fox Sports, one of one.